Catholic take on character? For Catholics, character definition is about growing in virtue, a definition of character, the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. Definition of virtue, behavior showing high moral standards. So for the Catholic Church, character development is about growing in the virtues. It's about the gifts of the Holy Spirit to make that possible. And then it's the fruits of the Holy Spirit that tell us how we're doing with the Holy Spirit. Let's look at a definition of virtue. A virtue is an habitual and firm disposition to do the good. It allows the person not only to perform good acts, but to give the best of himself. As Matthew Kelly says, be the best version of yourself. Or, as Scott Hahn says, holy habits. Now, there are two kinds of virtue, the human or moral virtues and the theological virtues. The human virtues are stable dispositions of the intellect and the will that govern our acts, order our passions, and guide our conduct in accordance with reason and faith. There are four: prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. The virtue of prudence disposes the practical reason to discern in every circumstance our true good and to choose the right means for achieving it. Think of it as doing the right thing and doing the thing right. The virtue of justice consists in the firm and constant will to give God and neighbor their due. Or in other words, doing right by God and neighbor. The virtue of fortitude ensures firmness in difficulties and constancy in the pursuit of the good. In other words, doing the right thing no matter what. The virtue of temperance moderates the attraction of the pleasures of the senses and provides balance in the use of created goods. In other words, it's allowed, but is it right? Now, how do you grow in virtue? Well, it's through understanding what they are, making deliberate acts of virtue, and persevering in struggle, knowing that divine grace purifies and elevates, and that virtue is the fruit and the seed of morally good acts. Let's look at the theological virtues. The theological virtues of faith, hope, and love dispose Christians to live in a relationship with the Holy Trinity. They have God for their origin, their motive, and their object. The three are faith, hope, and love. God known by faith, God hoped in and loved for his own sake. They inform all of the moral or human virtues and give life to them. Let's describe each of them. The virtue of faith is the virtue by which we believe in God and believe all that he has said and revealed to us because he is truth itself. By faith, man freely commits his entire self to God. In other words, who am I doing the right thing for? The virtue of hope responds to the aspiration to happiness which God has placed in the heart of every man. It takes up the hopes that inspire men's activities and purifies them so as to order them to the kingdom of heaven. In other words, it answers, why do I do the right thing? The virtue of charity or love God above all things for his own sake and our neighbor as ourselves for the love of God. The moral life animated by charity gives to the Christian the spiritual freedom of the children of God. As St. Augustine says, love and do what you will. That if we always acted out of pure love, out of that virtue of love, then we could do whatever we wanted because it would be aligned to the love of God. The Christian no longer stands before God as a slave, but as a son responding to the love of him who first loved us.